The concept of the future has always been a pretty big theme in the series of Boruto, if not the biggest theme. The series literally started off with a flash forward in time, showing Boruto and Kawaki fighting as their adult selves, along with the entire Leaf Village destroyed. So just going off of that alone, we could already tell that the future in Boruto is a very big deal. And this concept gets more and more explored throughout the series, especially with the introduction of a villain such as Momoshiki. Momoshiki was introduced as the first villain in the Naruto franchise that could actually see into the future. And this was shown by him being able to tell the fates of multiple characters. In Momoshiki's big fight with Naruto and Sasuke, we see Momoshiki interact with Naruto and Kurama by stating, "What a pity, Fox. All this power, and it's a shame that you can't pass it down to the next generation." Pretty much showing that he is seeing the fate of Kurama and seeing that Kurama will have no way of passing his power down. And this became true to some sense, considering that the original Kurama that Naruto possessed had ended up dying after Naruto's fight with Ishiki. Now, Kurama has in a way returned, but this is not the same Kurama that we once knew, so Momoshiki was able to see the fate of the original Kurama. And following Momoshiki's defeat, we get his iconic line where he's interacting with Boruto. He first says that even with all of his power and his Byakugan, he cannot see his own fate. However, he sees Boruto's fate quite clearly, and what he saw was that Boruto's blue eyes will take everything away from him. And we go on to hear more about fate through Ishiki, who believes that everything has a predestined fate. So this theme of fate and the future is very, very big in Boruto. So how does this possibly pertain to the current series of Boruto? How does fate tie its way into what's going on in the Boruto time skip? Well, I believe fate is now playing a much bigger role than ever, with the fact that Boruto has seen the futures and the fates of everyone he cares for and the entire Hidden Leaf Village. Now, I have to give credit to these two Twitter users for giving me inspiration to come up with this video, but this theory is one of the best theories that I have ever heard for the Boruto series because it makes so much sense. Before we even dive into all of the proof backing this up, one thing that's always been bothering me since this time skip has started is, why is Boruto so depressed throughout the entirety of this time skip? I mean, if you guys don't remember, Boruto Part 1 ended off with Boruto being as hopeful as he always is. He was still the same hopeful, optimistic main character that we saw back in episode 1. Even when he lost all of his friends, his family, everyone, he was still optimistic to get everything back to how it was and to just beat up Kawaki and sort him out. He didn't even lose his spark after having his friends and his family completely turn on him, thinking that he was the enemy. And then yet after the time skip, he is super serious, super dark, and just a very gloomy character. And yes, you could make the argument that he lost Sasuke during the time skip, and maybe that's why he's become so serious now. But that is such a weak argument. Boruto once again lost his friends and his family before the time skip, and yet he remained optimistic. I'm sure if he lost Sasuke, he would still remain optimistic, especially considering the fact that Sasuke is not even officially dead yet. He's just stuck in a tree. So something else must have happened for him to become so serious as he is now. And that event I'm predicting is him seeing the fates of everyone he cares about and seeing that it does not end well. First off, we've already seen this done before, and a prime example of this exact character change is Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. Eren was also a very optimistic and joyous main character throughout majority of Attack on Titan. Yet the second Eren sees the future and sees what is about to happen to everyone, he becomes dark, he becomes serious, and he becomes extremely gloomy, just like how Boruto is now. So we've already seen that main characters seeing the future, especially a bad one, is never a good thing and is always going to cause some major change or shift in the character's attitude for the rest of the story. Now let's go into the proof backing all of this up. First things first, we've already seen that Momoshiki is capable of willingly showing Boruto the future if it means that it benefits Momoshiki. We saw this happen quite clearly in chapter 75, where Momoshiki shows Boruto the future, where everyone just completely turns against Boruto and is fighting against him. And we saw all of these events that Momoshiki showed Boruto in chapter 75 unfold a few chapters later exactly the same way how Momoshiki showed to Boruto. We saw Shikadai and Team 10 trying to capture Boruto. We saw Mitsuki fighting Boruto. We saw Sarada finding Boruto. And everything played out exactly the same way 5 chapters later in chapter 80 when all of this stuff actually happened. So we've already seen that Momoshiki is capable of showing Boruto the future. So it is not at all unlikely that Momoshiki forcefully made Boruto see the fates of everyone around him. So there is proof already showing that Boruto has the capabilities of seeing into the future. I just proved that. However, what proof is there that Boruto has seen the future? Well, we've been getting hints dropped at us about this since the beginning of the time skip. When Boruto confronted Code, he says, "You don't understand the true horrors of the Ten Tails." Now, we know that the Ten Tails is powerful, but how does Boruto know about this? We already know that Sasuke got sealed pretty early on within the time skip, so I doubt that Sasuke was the one to tell Boruto about the Ten Tails. Kashin Koji was not around to see the Ten Tails either. So how does Boruto know about the horrors of the Ten Tails? And yes, there is a possibility Sasuke did tell him about the Ten Tails, but when somebody says the true horrors of the Ten Tails, that sounds like somebody who has seen the Ten Tails firsthand and has seen what the Ten Tails could do. Somebody who is merely educated on the Ten Tails isn't gonna say the true horrors of the Ten Tails. Following this statement, Boruto tells Code, "It ain't too late yet. You need to scrap them while you still hold their reins, or else we'll end up in the worst possible future for everyone." And obviously, Boruto was once again referring to the Ten Tails here. So we already see Boruto talking about the future here, and especially the worst possible future. And right after this confrontation, the Ten Tails then decides to create characters like Jura and Hidari, which are creations of the Ten Tails. So it's possible that the worst possible future that Boruto first saw is already coming into fruition. And that would make sense as to why Boruto was so adamant about Code destroying the grimes of the Ten Tails, because if you look back on Boruto's fight with Code, Boruto is more so concerned with Code's control over the Ten Tails than Code himself. He doesn't even really care about Code throughout that entire fight. And there's a big chance the reason why he's so concerned about the Ten Tails is because he's already seen what is going to happen with it. However, the interesting thing about this theory is that Boruto cannot see specific details about the future. He can only see the outcomes. So he has to tie up everything together. And this is shown with the creation of the Ten Tails monsters. It seems like Boruto doesn't fully know what they are. However, he's already seen them. And that's why he goes on to say, "Damn it, we're too late." So he in that moment figured out how the Ten Tails monsters were created when he already knew that they were going to exist at one point or another in the future. So it's not like Boruto knows step by step as to what's happening, he just knows how it's going to end. And more proof of that is when he is telepathically talking to Shikamaru, and Shikamaru is talking about the Ten Tails and says, "Divine trees suck up all life on a planet, right? So this planet is doomed?" And Boruto replies with, "We're not there yet." Once again, more talk about the future, especially more talk about a very, very terrible future with the planet's life being sucked up by the divine tree. Boruto has also probably seen that there is a bad fate awaiting his friends, because when he's fighting Code, he says, "I swear to rescue Master Sasuke and everyone else who was turned into a tree, as well as ... And then following his fight, he tells Sarada, "We'll talk later, just stay alive." I don't know, man. If you ask me, that's a pretty weird thing to say when you haven't seen one of your closest friends in like 3 years. Chances are Boruto has not seen a good future for Sarada for him to be talking like this. And what makes more sense is the fact that Boruto was there the second Code showed up and threatened Sarada. So once again, it's proving that Boruto doesn't fully know how these things are going to happen. He just knows that at one point they will happen. So it's possible that Boruto thought that Code was the one who would try to take out Sarada, which is why he was in the Leaf Village within a heartbeat the second Sarada was threatened. More proof showing that Boruto doesn't know what the build-up to the future is when he goes back after failing to stop the awakening of the Shinju, and Kashin Koji says, "I'm not trying to console you, but you knew there was a high chance of this happening." So Boruto knew that the Shinju were going to be awakened, and Boruto knew that he would fail to stop the Shinju in awakening. And even in this latest chapter, Boruto is completely shocked over the fact that the Shinju are targeting Himawari. Once again, showing that Boruto knows of the outcome of what's going to happen for everyone, but he still doesn't know what builds up to that future that he foresaw. And there are plenty more examples of this in the time skip alone, where Boruto knows something very specific, but he doesn't know the reason for it. When talking to Sarada and Samaire, he's explaining to them the entire process of the Ten Tails and how the Ten Tails then goes on to evolve into Otsutsuki, and he says that's how it's supposed to go. And right after, he follows up with, for whatever reason, they've already started evolving into divine trees. So, for some reason, he knows this extremely specific bit of information, but he doesn't know how it's happening. So, once again, it's showing that he knows what's going to happen, he just doesn't know how it's going to happen. Another example of this is, again, when he's talking to Sarada and Samaire, and he says, "I don't know how exactly or why, but there's a strong possibility that Code's chakra is affecting them." Again, referring to the Shinju. So Boruto knows specific details, but he doesn't know what's going to happen step by step, which is all the more reason as to why Boruto is so serious. It's because he knows he has to somehow prevent these things from happening, but he still doesn't know how they're going to happen. He doesn't know what to expect. So for Boruto, it's pretty much like reading a story backwards. He knows how it's going to end, but he has to work backwards to find out how that ending happens in order to prevent that future. So I fully believe that this is the case. There is no other reason why Boruto would change so drastically in terms of personality before the time skip and after the time skip. And this makes complete perfect sense, especially considering that the being that resides within Boruto has the ability of seeing the future. And if this theory is true, which I'm sure it is, it makes the Boruto series that much better. Anyways, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what other videos you guys want to see in the future. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.